Let us move on to the next unit, Unit 2, Prose 2. The title of the lesson is A Nice Cup of Tea, which has been written by Eric Arthur Blair, best known by his pen name George Orwell. He was born in the year 1903 and died in the year 1950. He was a great supporter of dramatic socialism and he was damned against totalitarianism. This was reflected in almost all of his works, and he is known for his polemical journalism. What do you mean by polemical journalism? Journalism which involves in strongly critical and disputable topics. That means argumentative topics எல்லாம் deal பண்ணுறது இவரோட பழக்கம். And he is known for his allegorical novella. The title of the novella is Animal Farm. Already we had a definition about a novella. Novella is a short form of a novel. Allegory also we came across in the poem The Castle, in which we have a hidden meaning. Same way the Animal Farm also has a hidden meaning. When you read the novel, it won't give you a complete in what sense the writer has written. But when you go in depth, you will understand the reason behind his writing and the hidden meaning he just want to express. And he has written even a dystopian novel. Dystopian novel, the title of the novel is 1984. What do you mean by dystopian novel? Dystopian novel means the writer create an imaginary society in which he describes about how the people are treated with injustice. So overall, when you see, George Orwell just want to bring out the immoral things which is happening around him in the society through his writing. In 2008, The Times, the famous magazine, ranked him second on the list of the top 50 greatest British writers since 1945. Now we'll move on to the main content of the lesson. Let us move on to the main content of the lesson. If you look up tea in the first cookery book that comes to hand, you will probably find that it is unmentioned, or at most you will find a few lines of sketchy instructions which give no ruling on several of the most important points. The writer says that if you happen to search in a cookery book how to make a tea, most of the books will not have this content. Even if you happen to find, it will give only few lines of instruction. There you might not see the several important things that has to be followed in the preparation of nice cup of tea. This is curious not only because tea is one of the mainstays of civilization in this country as well as in Australia and New Zealand, but because the best manner of making it is the subject of violent dispute. But the writer says that it is very interesting because the tea plays a very important role in the civilization of not only their country but also countries like Ireland, Australia and New Zealand. But the manner in which it has to be prepared is still under argument. Nobody is ready to accept which pattern has to be followed, which steps has to be followed in preparing a nice cup of tea. Still it is under argument. When I look through my own recipe for the preparation of perfect cup of tea, I find no fewer than 11 outstanding points. So when the writer, when he thinks about how to make a perfect tea, he was able to come across 11 important steps that has to be followed. On perhaps two of them, there would be perfect general agreement. So out of this 11, the writer says, two, it's a general norms that has been followed by almost all the countries. It is acceptable fact. But at least 4 others are acutely controversial. But out of 11, 2 is acceptable, for 4 is under argument. People will not accept. Here are my own 11 rules, every one of which I regard as golden. So one by one, the writer describes his 11 rules that has to be followed to make a nice cup of tea. He calls it as a golden rule to get a nice cup of tea. First of all, one should use Indian or Ceylonese tea. China tea has virtues which are not to be despised nowadays. It is economical and one can drink it without milk. But there is not much stimulation in it. One does not feel wiser, braver or more optimistic after drinking it. Anyone who has used that comforting phrase, a nice cup of tea, invariably means Indian tea. The first the writer says that which tea leaf we have to use. He says that Indian or Ceylon tea, that has to be used. And China tea, though it has a good qualities, it should not be hated since it is economical. You can have it even without milk, but it won't give you excitement after taking it. It won't make you wiser, it won't make you braver, and it won't even give you a positive idea in your life after drinking it. So one, if you want to say a nice cup of tea, definitely it is nothing other than Indian tea. Secondly, tea should be made in small quantity. So first the tea leaf. Second, he says about the quantity as well as the vessel in which the tea has to be made. He says that a small quantity of tea has to be made. Tea out of an urn is always tasteless, while army tea made in a cauldron taste of grease and whitewash. ஸோ urn அப்படிங்கிறது தாழின்னு அந்த காலத்தில் சொல்லுவாங்க, பெரிய பாத்திரம். ஸோ கால்ரானும் அதே மாதிரி தான், கொப்பரை. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி பெரிய அளவில் இருக்கிற பாத்திரங்களில் நிறையா குவான்டிட்டி நம்ம இஃப் யூ வாண்ட் டு மேக் அ டீ, இட் ஓன்ட் கிவ் யூ அ டேஸ்ட். கால்ரானில் பண்ணுறது என்ன அப்படின்னா மெட்டல், அதில் ஸ்மெல், இந்த க்ரீஸ் ஸ்மெல்லும் ஒயிட் வாஷ் ஸ்மெல்லும் அதிலேருந்து வரும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்கிறாரு. த டீ பாட் ஷுட் பி மேட் ஆஃப் அ சைனா அண்ட் earthenware. சைனாலேயும் earthenware அப்படின்னா மண் பாத்திரம் நம்ம சொல்கிறோம்ல, அந்த மண் பாத்திரத்தில் நம்ம என்ன பண்ணணும், டீ வைக்கணும். Silver or Britannia or enamel parts are worse. So tea which is made out of silver vessel, Britannia teapot and enamel parts, all the images are given beside for your reference. இதில் செய்கிற டீ எல்லாம் it will give a worse taste. இன்னொன்று அக்செப்டபிள் டேஸ்ட்டாக இருக்கும் அப்படிங்கிறது எதை சொல்கிறாருன்னா பியூட்டர் டீபாட். பியூட்டர் டீபாட் அப்படிங்கிறது அலாய் மெட்டலில் பண்ணப்பட்ட ஒரு டீபாட். இது வந்து இப்போ அவைலபிளாக இல்லை. இந்த டீபாட்டில் பண்ணாலும் இட் ஒன்ட் பி வெரி பேட். பட் பெஸ்ட்டு என்ன சொல்கிறாரு, சைனா ஆர் earthenwareல நம்ம பண்ணுற டீ வந்து ஸ்மால் குவான்டிட்டியாக நம்ம பண்ணுறப்ப இட் வில் டேஸ்ட் குட். ஏர்னில் பண்ணுறது, கால்ரானில் பண்ணுறது இதெல்லாம் வந்து டேஸ்ட் இருக்காது, ஏன்னா குவான்டிட்டி இஸ் ஹெவி. சில்வர், பிரிட்டானியா வேர் அண்ட் எனாமல் பாட்டில் பண்ணுறது இட் வில் கிவ் அ வர்ஸ் டேஸ்ட். ஓரளவுக்கு அக்செப்டபிள் அப்படின்னா பியூட்டர் டீபாட். பியூட்டர் அப்படிங்கிறது அலாய் மெட்டலில் செய்யப்பட்ட ஒரு டீபாட். இப்போ நவடேஸ் இட் இஸ் நாட் அவைலபிள்.